Right. So, shall we talk a little bit about basic safety when it comes to driving through the dunes, since that's a predominant landscape here?
Yes. So let's say once we have done all these things which we just discussed about, that's deflating to the right pressure.
Mm-hmm.
You got all your safety equipment with you. And then there's also another thing which we would use is a two-way communication device. The reason you do that is because on the sand, you cannot communicate with each other. You cannot raise a voice and then communicate because it's not going to carry in the desert. So we would use some sort of a communication device to talk to each other. And that's also recommended to have along with the flag when you get into the dune. The flag is for visibility to know where you are. And the communication device is so that in case you are in a sticky situation, you can be told what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's start getting into the desert. The first thing which you would want to do is forget an ego.
Mm-hmm.
Just because a guy in front of you did something, that doesn't mean you can do it.
Or you should.
Or you should do it. So if you go there, you attempt, it's not happened, come back, try it again.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you cannot do it. But at that period of time, if it is not done, then don't get there. So once we got all our safety equipment in place and we are ready to go onto the sand,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing is leave your road sense
Mm-hmm.
on the road and bring in your sand sense.
I had a lot of trouble with that.
Yeah, that's the biggest difficulty because let's take it. 7 days a week, 6 days a week, you're driving on the road, or even that 7 day you're driving on the road. It's only 2 hours in that particular drive, or 3 hours in that particular drive. You're on the sand. So those first few seconds of you being in the sand are very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
You need to leave whatever you thought on the road, whatever safety you had on the road,
Mm-hmm.
and your safety on the desert has to be what you had on the road plus another 100% more. That's
Mm-hmm.
your observation, your reaction, and your ability to come through a situation. So that's fear, because when you go up a dune, you cannot see what's on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to trust the person in front of you when you're starting off, and then subsequently when you're driving, you'll know what to do. So we'll talk about the entry level. Let's say the first day, I just got all my safety equipment. I deflated. I got my briefing from the group members, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going on the sand. So the first thing I do is just leave what I have driven on the road, all my senses. I just leave it there and bring onto the sand sense. When you're on the sand, the first thing you're going to experience is no control. So that's one thing you will have to go. So you should not you don't need to have a fear factor there.
Mm-hmm.
Just allow it to go.
Mm-hmm.
Second, a dune can be approached in multiple ways. So always, let's take, for example, this is a dune.
Mm-hmm.
So a dune begins from one side and ends on another side.
Mm-hmm.
On top of the dune, you get a crust.
Right.
So this is a crest over here. So a dune can be from here, end here, and I can pick up here and end here, and so on and so forth. So there are multiple ways of approaching a dune. The first way is, so let's start driving. The basic way is to get up here. So get up here and then back down there. So this is a top-down approach. So what are you looking at? So your typical off-roader, this is called your ingress. So your distance between your bumper and your wheel is got your ingress, and behind over here, your bumper and your wheel is called your regress. So that's why you see a product like this, you're very close to your front bumper. So you would also want, let's say, for more safety, remove this front portion over here so that your wheel has got more reach. So that when you're hitting something, your wheel reaches first. So there's also another thing which you can look at underneath over here is your transfer case. So you look to have a skid plate. So why a skid plate? So that in case you are hitting some object at a higher speed, you're not going to damage anything underneath there. So that's where we are at. So when this happens over here, you see this? You're going to hit this portion first. So skid plate's going to take that impact, and then your wheel, and then you come up over here, and then over here you need to remember not to throttle up, just let go, and then it comes down over here. Because what happens is when you go up here and you stop off, you're going to belly, and then you can't move. So then either you have to be towed backwards, that's where your tow rope comes in handy, or you have to be towed frontwards, either one of the two. So this is your first approach. So you'd come up dune. Again, speed is not the challenge over here. You're not going fast. This is not for you to race. That's why the road sense remains on the road and your sand sense begins over here. And this is not for you. This is not against that the person ahead of you did it and you are not able to. No, it's not an ego challenge. It's something which you will learn eventually. But the main thing is never fight that urge to do that. So let's say you hit over here, you come up here, come 3/4 over here, and then allow yourself to come back down. No throttle back down. So this is your first approach. This is the basics of what you would learn to do on the dune. So what you're going to feel when you're on the sand for the first time? You're going to feel that softness. It's going to wobble a little bit. So you need to have that steering control. Left, right, very subtle movements so that you're keeping on going straight. Remember these words, left, right, because once you start driving, then left, right is you're going to hear that a lot. And then throttle control. You do not want to touch your brakes. You want to allow your engine to do its own braking, because once you're on a 4-wheel mode, your engine's going to have a more torquier feel to it. So that's another sensation which you need to get used to, because it's going to feel that you're being held back.
Right.
And you will tend to throttle more. No. What's actually happening is you're getting a low end torque in place at low gears, which is allowing you to move out of these situations. So this is where we would start off on the basics.
Right. There's one part here where I had quite some trouble with. It took me a while.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I'm one of those who goes from point A to B. I don't rev my car a lot.
Yes.
So that gave me a few challenges, in the sense that there were some learning outcomes that I did not get from not going a little crazy with my car. Yeah. So when it was on the side of a dune, when you're on a bigger dune, maybe say it's about 15 feet high, I always used to run into a little trouble when I'm on the side of the dune. For example, I'm going this way. If I'm going this way,
the side sloping.
Yeah, side sloping. And if I lose momentum, since I'm not revving too much, and I start sliding down, I would try to go back up.
Fighting gravity. That should never happen. Never fight gravity.
And I got stuck multiple times, and thankfully that's the worst that happened.
Yeah.
But you can topple your car over.
Yeah, in extreme situations. But the key over here is being safe. That's why I said throttle control.
Right.
You want to see that you're at the right speed. You do not want to over rev it. At the same time, you do not want to do it less. You just need to be just right there. And that's why I said, just because a guy in the front did it, that doesn't mean you need to do it.
Our listeners can probably learn from my mistakes, because I probably did everything wrong, everything possible.
That's what everybody has done.
Right.
Even me on my very first drive, the top down, that's the very first thing you'd like to top down. I thought that you need power to get there. And I actually flew off my vehicle from the dune. But luckily it was a very small thing. It hardly 2 or 3 feet. But it is an impact, because you're talking about a 2-ton vehicle going up around 3 to 5 feet. It is an impact.
Lot of force.
It takes a lot of toll on your body. It takes a lot of toll on your vehicle. It does a lot. Leave alone larger jumps, which you can do at a later stage. But this is what you should do. Always take it easy. Nice and easy, as it said. We got a colleague, one community member, one of the marshals. He always says nice and easy. So always be nice and easy. That's what helps you to be calm. No frustration. Just relax. Just get it done.
Right. And practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
And no matter what, no matter how experienced you are, the desert can throw up some surprises.
Anytime. Anytime.
That is something to be
I've
expected.
driven with the best of the best and seen things which you cannot even dream that can happen. So that's why safety first.
Right.
Ego, not on the desert. And your desert sense, your sand sense is 100% more than what your road sense was. That is your looking forward, your vision, what you're going to do, and then your reaction time, and also your ability to get out of a situation. You should anticipate these things much more than what is on the road, because driving on the sand is completely different than what is driving on the road.
Right. So you have to unlearn and relearn a lot of things.
Yes.
Any message you would like to leave our viewers and listeners with before we conclude?
Off-roading is an enthusiastic sport. It's a bug which you can get into. You can be with the family, and you can do it yourself as well. And it's something which you need to be with nature, and this helps you to do that.